I was empty.
I was self-centered.
Driven.
Sad.
Pretty lost, stubborn, angry person.
I felt always less than.
I was in hell.
Scared.
And everything I did was really for me.
Aimless. If you could picture like maybe a box with a lid on it. I was a box with a lid on it.
And I was arrogant.
Hypercritical, very cynical.
Empty was where I was at.
Well, I was a mess. Totally a mess.
Lonely.
It could have been life in prison.
I was numb.
Wandering around aimless.
I was confused.
I was a materialistic, selfish, cocky, arrogant bastard, son of a bitch.
I thought mostly of myself.
I was beaten. I was a beaten man.
That's where I was.
Bad things just keep happening. And I was pregnant and I almost miscarried and ended up being homeless, and I was like living in a car when I was pregnant.
I had to get up and have a drink in the morning, and I had to have a drink at noontime, and I had to have a drink at 5 o'clock, and then another one at 8 o'clock just to function.
Me and my friends got involved in drugs at the age of about 14, and I continued using drugs in one way, shape, or form, or changing drugs throughout my entire life till I was about 41 years old.
There were times that I actually, cut myself or took a lot of pills.
And my friend would go in, simple, and if they didn't give him the money, I would go and shoot him.
I wasn't down and out. I lived in a $1 million house on Cape Cod.
My parents both drank a lot, used drugs. My dad was very abusive.
What used to just resonate within me again was there had to be more to life.
Teenage suicide was something that hung over my head.
We were homeless. My family was homeless, living in churches or people's basements or whatever.
There was a loaded gun next to me, and could have easily done it.
I was given a civil fine of $245,750,000.
About 35 years ago, my best friend, tried to throw me off a third-floor balcony.
I was in a relationship, married for 25 years, and my marriage fell apart.
There was a lot of lying and just deceit and backstabbing and just things I could never imagine somebody could do that you were married to. So it sucked.
He had remortgaged our house for $25,000 and had put it into a slot machine.
Everything that I had wanted, that I had dreamed of and hoped for in my life was gone.
It was then that the first time I really heard the Holy Spirit, even though I didn't know it was the Holy Spirit, saying, you need to go back to church. And of course, that would just enrage me.
One thing they taught me in the halfway house is, if you think you're in trouble, get down on your knees and ask for help.
The worst thing that I could think could happen to a person happened to me. And I started to come to this church because it was right up the street.
It's not God's ideal situation that an 18-year-old unwed mother have twins. But I do believe that it was a blessing.
And so I had family that were reborn Christians and had been for years. So one morning I called one of them up. I said, I'm there like, I want to talk to you about a spiritual matter. And they came over and I gave my life to Christ to them there in my driveway, and that's how this began.
Not only did I physically change with the drugs and the drinking, but I started to change as a person, realizing that God was doing things, that Jeff and I were getting along, that Jeff and I were falling back in love.
And I was just woken up in the dream, and it said, you want to follow me?
And I really surrendered to God. And he just overwhelmed me with love.
I felt this sensation just come across from my head, just down to my toes, just tingling warmth. I had warmth. Like, it's okay. Everything is okay.
There was a Seinfeld episode, actually, that was kind of funny, but George was in the diner downstairs, and he was trying to pick up the beautiful woman came in, and he's like, well, what am I going to go tell her? I'm a 38-year-old bald guy that lives at home, and I have no job. And they're like, well, whatever you've been doing, it doesn't work, so do the opposite. So he goes over and he's like, hi, I'm George. I'm 38 years old. I'm bald. I have no job, and I live with my parents. And she's like, hey. So to me, that was a message from God to me, because it's like, whatever you're doing, Steve, this isn't working. Do the opposite and see how it goes. So it was like, without the love of Christ, with the love of Christ. It was very simple, pretty much.
now I'm happy. There are ups and downs, everyday living, years, up and down, but just so satisfied and so blessed.
It certainly has made me a better person, a happier person, and a much more enjoyable person.
Not to be cliche, but I was lost and now I'm found. I have a home.
At least that's what my wife tells me, and she's the best judge.
Oh, I'm blessed, absolutely blessed and fortunate.
I'm not searching anymore. I find that I'm living my life every day.
I know that I have a helper, and that's Jesus Christ, and he's relieved a lot of the pressure for me.
But now, it's so good.
I've always really wanted to see other people do well, but not at my expense. As long as it didn't impact me, it was great. Now I want to see other people do well.
I was on my own program for a long time, and now I'm hopefully on God's program. I mean, I feel like I am. I feel safer where I am now than I was back then.
And now I have put myself last and want to help others. I want to be with my family. I want to be the best father I can be. I want to be the best husband I can be.
I have trouble when I even look back and think about who I was. It just seems so foreign to me who that old person was. She's so dead.
I am probably more at peace with an accepting of things.
I am so...
I am now a man with a plan, God's plan for my life.
Yes, this is the new Karen. See, this is the new Karen.